Welcome back to another edition of the Gabagools podcast. I'm your host, Jeff. With me today is a longtime listener, first time caller. Just kidding, it's the second time on here. Richie Forbags, how we doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Obviously, a little Friday night action here
Yes, sir.
compared to our normal. And obviously, you're not Dan, but
Well,
let's break down some draft. As the NFL draft is going on as we speak, we're about 2 days in.
can I
Um,
just say Dan sleeps with his socks on? So,
he also wears Crocs in the shower.
that is interesting. He also puts ketchup on a hot dog.
Yep, and he also sleeps at the foot of the bed.
Ooh, I've heard he goes to parties with Diddy as well. So,
Jesus. On that note, we'll just keep going. But a lot to unpack so far with this draft. So,
yeah.
we could start in the first. Obviously, I'm just watching it now. But Jermaine Burton, I'm sure you know who he is. Obviously, he didn't go in the first round, but he just went to the Bengals out of Alabama. Do you remember him at all?
You said Trey Burton?
Jermaine Burton.
Jermaine Burton. Yes, I do
Yes.
believe number 3 on Bama.
Yeah. So
He's
the only
actually
reason I'm
really,
bringing him,
really good with this year.
yeah. So that's the funny thing I wanted to bring up was, just going through like the general consensus.
Oh,
He
I
was
think
like
that's Bengals.
nowhere. Yeah. He was like nowhere, and that's gonna be Higgins' replacement. Um,
Yep.
what's interesting too is he wasn't on a lot of draft boards going in like rookie drafts for fantasy or just in general up until probably about like 2 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I remember this guy. And all of a sudden he's on the scene, which is great to see. I mean, I've always been a fan, but it was like one of those guys that just like had a little come to light moment for me.
Like the 3 Alabama games that I watched this year, he was running the score up. Really
Yeah.
good receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
But
see
in
what he
round
ends up doing.
3,
Like I said,
yeah, that's kind of actually interesting. That I was thinking maybe like 6, 7, honestly.
yeah. Do you know what's funny is I still think Troy Franklin's out there too at this point.
Let's okay, prospects. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just run it through it. Yeah, he still hasn't been taken.
Yep.
Which honestly is not a surprise because he had a terrible combine and there's a lot to like about him, but there's also a lot not to like about him. And I think that's just the biggest breakdown I've seen. And that's kind of, I think, why. And it's not really a surprise. Um, I don't know if you have any thoughts on him real quick.
On Troy Franklin from Oregon.
Yeah,
Not
nothing right
really.
now.
I mean, like the guy, yeah, he didn't really excite me or wow me or anything. So not really, to be quite honest.
Couldn't couldn't run a straight line. That's
No.
not good either.
Oh, I think you told me that in the gauntlet drill.
Yeah,
Right. Yep.
which
Yeah.
it's a drill. It's a one time thing, but still,
Not a
it's
big
like
deal.
it is a big deal when you're trying to get drafted. But
Yeah.
enough of what's happening at the moment. Let's go to round one, pick one. The one that I mean, it's been a lock for about 5 months. We knew who was going
Certainly.
one. We just didn't know what team. That got solved up over a month ago, probably about 5 weeks. Um, Caleb Williams is a Bear. How are
It's
you
crazy.
feeling about it, knowing that you're a Bears fan? I'm
Yep.
just a Caleb Williams fan, Jets fan.
Yep.
So from the outside looking in, I love the pick, but let's hear what you have to say.
I mean, it's funny, right? Like we talked about this, we theorized about this, hypothesized about this day years
For
ago.
years,
Sitting at the bar, shooting the shit.
yeah,
Hey, what if Caleb went to the Bears? What if we were that bad that particular year? And we weren't that bad that particular year. We just had, made good moves to get us that number 1 pick. So yeah, it's fucking exciting, right? It's super exciting to see a guy that it is literally there's like the talent's undeniable now. I think with Justin Fields, it was like, well, the talent's definitely there. But can he like take that next step to the next level? And he just never seemed to be able to do it with the Bears, and they also set him up for failure in definitely many ways. But like Caleb is kind of that guy where it's like, no, we know like what's gonna happen. There is no and if or buts about like what is about to fucking happen. Like we are about to be fucking good. And it's so
Yeah.
goddamn exciting. And then we fucking to top it off, right? To put the cherry on top, we go get Rome at 9, which I was calling for that literally for months. And so it's just exciting pieces. Do I think we really needed Rome? No, maybe not. Maybe Dallas
I'm
Turner would have
I'm
been nice. Maybe
I'm
Dallas
glad you took
Turner.
that. I'm glad you took that route because I think you 100% needed him. Reason being,
Sure, sure.
Keenan Allen, he can't stay on the field. I mean, I know firsthand, because the Jets have Mike Williams now, so like very
Mm-hmm.
similar players. They're always injured. They're great when they're on the field, but overall,
No, no. Don't ever
what
compare Keenan Allen to Mike Williams.
injury history?
Well, just in player history, stats, anything. They're not the same human.
Well, no, and Keenan Allen's a way better player, 100%.
Yeah, so don't do that.
But that point being, he's injured, so you needed to take that backup option and a guy that could grow with Caleb because
Sure.
Keenan's only on a 1 year deal, so I think it's 1 year left. So
I
you have to do one or two.
I don't know.
We'll fact check it while we continue to talk about it. But like overall, that's just one of those players that you needed to continue to grow, and he kind of reminds me of like a JSN. And we're going to talk fantasy part of it
Sure.
too in the outlook. For those two, the consensus will be Caleb's 1-1. Unless you have Kyler Murray as your quarterback, Caleb's number one. Rome, fitting in this season, year one, it's going to be tough for him to transition in and be the guy or get more than 2 to 3 touchdowns in my mind, unless Caleb really is that elite option. I'm expecting
Sure.
25 to 30 touchdowns out of Caleb, which is still a lot because I don't think that the Bears have ever had somebody do more, maybe Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
It's hard to really break that down, but when you look at just how good they could be, I expect more of like a year one, but a better version of JSN. Like I think Rome could have a better chance. If you had to ask me who's a better player, that's tough because both are equally studs. But when you look at it, I think that it was a need. It was a must for him. Now, if you're going to ask me where I think I would take Rome in a rookie draft for Superflex, tight end premium, all that included, I think he's my 1-6 at the moment.
Sure. Yeah, like in that middle pack of picks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the funny part. I'd say from like pick 3 through 9, I think you could end up with some really good players in that. We'll touch on those as we go on. But
What do we?
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, now like obviously Caleb goes 1. Jaden Daniels goes 2 to Washington. No surprise, I don't think there, but from anybody, right?
no, they kind of came out and said it, and they kind of righted whatever wrong that they did with him. I don't know if you saw that report that like they pissed him off.
I did not know.
Pretty much the fact that they had other guys come in and they refused to say that Jaden was the guy. And Jaden was
Oh,
like, well, why do I want to go play for you if I'm not your guy? Kind of petty.
totally right. Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
But
Um,
he's a guy that people have doubted forever, and he was good at Arizona State, playing with Arizona State. I think Marvin Lewis, no, not Marvin Lewis. Maybe it wasn't Marvin
Jones.
Lewis. Who
No,
was
not Marvin Jones. It's
it was
Marvin.
the guy Tony Dungy,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Yeah, Tony Dungy
Either
ASU. Yeah,
yeah.
Tony Dungy
So
ASU.
like that was a complete train wreck. So I'm not
Yeah, he
shocked he
played with
left.
Brandon Ayuk. Like this
Yeah.
man's
Yeah,
been in
so he's
college
got all the
for so
talent in
long.
the world, and he got to display it on the big stage with LSU. He won the Heisman, rushed for over
Yeah.
1,000 yards. His comp for me is like a lesser version of Lamar Jackson with maybe a better arm.
Maybe. I think it is a better arm. I think it's
I would say
actually
it's a
fair.
way better
I
arm.
think it's a
Like
better arm. Yeah.
I know it's a lazy comp, but it's the best one I could come up with, and I think I've seen a couple of them now. Just looking through like the draft board and seeing
Yeah.
like some comps, they said Lamar too, but I mean he's able to run and pass, and this it's all new leadership in Washington, so we'll see what they do. And he actually has a couple good wide receivers to throw to with Scary Terry, and then Johan Dotson will kind of break out now.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking him to. I'm not taking him even 3 in a rookie draft.
No.
He's falling to 5, and I'm very reluctant on that, given that I actually want to put him like kind of bored. I almost want to put Rome ahead of him if I knew Rome was going to get the solid production. Um, if I desperately needed a QB, it's an easy decision for me to take him in that range, though.
Sure. Well, also the dual threat factor, because then if it wasn't him, you would be taking Drake May, who, subsequently went number 3 right after him to the Pats, and I was surprised that they didn't move off that pick. I think it was reported this morning that Minnesota offered 3 first to move up to 3. I
Yep,
assume to take JJ. Like that's been the narrative the whole month,
months,
give or take.
month. It's been months, yeah.
So for them to not have to do that and then move up to 10 and still get him and not sell the house, so to speak, that was a huge fucking win for them.
Yeah, yeah. For Minnesota, yeah, we'll touch on JJ
And
too. I love it.
and
That
then and
couldn't have
then
been a better scheme.
number 8, I don't know what's going on in Atlanta, if they're drinking too much fucking codeine, like Gucci Mane out there is fucking serving codeine to Arthur Blank and the boys. But they went ahead and picked Michael Penix Jr. when they just didn't need to, and it's actually incredible how they're gonna have to defend this very soon within hours, by the end of the weekend. Like they're gonna have to provide an actual answer to as why the fuck they did that, because that was not cool to
Right.
anybody in the Falcons organization.
Yeah, circling back to May, but I'll touch on Penix real quick too. Yes, having Cousins signed for 100 million guaranteed is one of those things that you don't want to piss off your quarterback in
Oh
a
yeah.
month of having him. I don't know if it was Dan Orlovsky said it this morning or it was someone, I saw it on Twitter as well, but they came out and said pretty much that they expect a lot out of Kirk. They don't expect to be drafting in the top 10. They need a quarterback in the future. We're talking in 2 years, they could very easily start him without issue. It's not like Kirk is young. I think, what is he, 37?
No, I don't know about 7, maybe 35.
Yeah, 35 or 37. Either way, he's got 2, maybe 3 good years left in him. He doesn't move very well. He's taken a lot of hits in Minnesota. I don't expect that to stop in that NFC South. Um, I think it's just a plan for the future.
He's
But
35.
circling back to Drake May, this kills his stock. I almost don't want to take him if it's a 10-man league. I don't want him in my top 10. I have to. Maybe not after the recent draft picks that just happened, but it's tough for me to even pick him in the top 10 of a rookie draft, given that he doesn't have a whole lot around him. And we can jump ahead just slightly with the wide receiver they took, Jalen Polk out of Washington. That was an overpay on him. And that's a guy that's going to fall in rookie drafts as well. Or he's going to bounce up just because people think that he's going to be something with Drake May. I feel bad for Drake May because I feel like it's the same old Patriot way that they just can't break out of.
Yeah, good. Like they've had,
I mean, I'm fine with it. It means the Jets
they
will
had
be good.
enough time. Like I don't give a fuck. Like they haven't struggled long enough.
Oh
After
yeah,
20
no,
20 years and 7 Super Bowls, like nah, you can fucking go another 10 years and no playoffs and just fucking 1-win seasons. All right, and
yeah,
still be fine. You should be happy with what happened.
yeah, yeah. And if he ends up turning into something and it ends up biting us all
Then
in the
it's a
ass,
win anyway. So yeah,
yeah. But I mean, we'll see. Drake May will cover a lot of their problems. Hope for his own sake, I hope so. But yeah, screw the Patriots. Moving on to 4 real quickly. Marvin Maserati Harrison, right? Junior.
I don't know why they didn't try to trade back and collect some stock, but
I mean,
whatever.
yeah, nothing was released on it, and maybe, yeah. I mean, that's what I was wondering why, because Minnesota seemed pretty eager to trade up. Like They traded up with the Jets to move up one pick.
Right. Yeah, like they were
Didn't make any
literally
sense.
that nervous about JJ going at any point, and you know, because
Um, but
it could have been, it was at one point it was JJ to the Giants at 6. You never
yeah,
and then decided to go all in on neighbors and
yeah. I mean, the two best wide receivers went in those two picks. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the 1-2, possibly 1-1 if you have Kyler Murray. I think if you don't have
sure.
Kyler Murray, and if it's a super flex, you have two of the top 8 QBs, and those 8 very quickly are Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, CJ Stroud's in that now, Justin Herbert,
Yeah.
and who am I missing? Lamar. Like, if you don't have any of those guys, you have to take Caleb. But outside of those guys, I'm taking Marvin all day. And he's going to be electric. He's going to be a younger version of what we saw with DeAndre Hopkins.
They oh my gosh, I can't remember who they player comped him to, but I'll see if it says
AJ
it.
Green, AJ
Oh,
Green,
Trey Pitt,
Julio
that's
Jones.
terrible. That was
Yeah,
terrible.
he's gonna be better. He'll
That
be
was
better than them.
disgusting. What a fucking awful comp. I literally couldn't. The disrespect. The fucking disrespect.
Oh, it's okay. I saw one.
AJ Green.
I saw Spencer Rattler's comp. They comped him to Zach Wilson. I had to laugh at that one. Not like it matters, but
JJ's comp.
comps are all out there.
JJ's comp.
It's not his comp. We'll get into him in a minute. We have to talk about Malik first. So, in my opinion, this is where his career goes to die, and I don't really mean that fully.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's just, it's so ugly,
and he's
and
not
I'm still going to
dropping
pick him.
dimes. Yeah, nothing's good.
No. But, so here's a question for you then, since we play fantasy. Are you picking him at 1-3 if you have that opportunity?
I have 1-4, 1-5.
I know. But if you have because let's just say Caleb's gone and obviously Marv's gone.
Yeah.
Do you take the risk and kind of take that 1 year?
That list you sent me earlier. Man, Worthy seems like that would be a nice spot.
You want Worthy over Malik?
No,
huh?
you have to take the best talent. Nah. Neighbors.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we're on the same page.
You gotta take the best.
It's always got to be talent over landing spot.
Landing spot helps. It helps Xavier Worthy greatly.
Yeah, and he moves up in my top 5. He moves up in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, he was 5.
But yeah, Neighbors has to stay there. He'll be great. He's just going to have to touch the ball 10 times minimum.
Yeah, get those targets.
Because they don't have a run game anymore, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we touched on Penix. We touched on Odunze already.
Yep.
J.J. McCarthy, my dark horse. If he does beat out Sam Darnold, they're going to design that offense for him. Because Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy are very, very similar in the way that they run their offense. Short, little dink and dunk West Coast offense type plays. I know JJ, I don't think, ran a West Coast at Michigan, but it was very similar to it with you run the ball a lot, and then you also do the quick slants, and you just cut the guys, you're always moving. And JJ is very athletic, and I think that could have been a better situation outside of the Bears for a QB to go to.
Sure, yeah, honestly.
Justin Jefferson, you have veteran Aaron Jones, and then, what is it, Ty Chandler to back him up. Yeah. So it's not great, but you still have TJ Hawkinson will be back, and he'll be across the middle of the field. And you have the former USC Trojan Jordan Addison, too. So they set him up for success, and they're not going to just play, they're not going to put him in an offense that they won't be able to handle. And this goes for Sam Darnold, too.
Sure. Yeah.
I think if he's a starter, he's going to stay the starter of the year unless he gets hurt. But yeah, love my JJ. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be a top 15 if he starts the whole year.
I know. It's already on tape. Yeah, you can't go back.
I got to put it back out there.
Okay, I didn't forget. Trust me, I didn't
I
forget
know.
that you
Receipts
said
have been saved.
Zach Wilson was going to be a top 15 quarterback if
Not
he
Zach Wilson,
starts.
JJ McCarthy.
Zach Wilson, I said that correctly.
I'm gonna laugh when you have to eat your own cake on that one.
When Zach
But
Wilson.
moving on to Bo Nix, which is a Zach Wilson lookalike. I think Sean Payton has a type um, for his
Yeah,
guys
no
that he
shit.
likes.
No.
They look very similar. I don't think he's gonna start right away unless all hell breaks loose with Denver. This could be a decent building block for them because they are in that transition year where nobody really wants to play for him. Because
Yeah.
Sean Payton isn't the greatest guy in the world, as we saw. That being said, he does know how to throw it. He does know how to be in an offense that's structured, similar to
Yeah.
JJ in that aspect, where I could see Bo being decent. Um, unless they're drafting some decent wide receivers, which I don't think they did, um, they're going to struggle,
I got
and they're going to be
Marvin
right
Mims.
back up there.
Marvin Mims is on the come up.
Yeah, I mean, he very well could be because Russell hated him apparently.
Word on, yeah,
Um,
word of mouth.
yeah. Um, I love his comp being Dak Prescott. That's hilarious.
That's
Very
what
similar. Very
I
similar.
mean.
Better.
Sure, but
Not much more to say on Bo Nix at the moment. We'll have to touch on him closer to the season, but I mean, he's not even in my top 12. Um, Maybe a late second round pick. But moving on to the guy that is the generational talent of this draft, besides Caleb, and that's Brock Bowers. Going to Vegas with Michael Mayer. What is your initial reaction to that?
I think they didn't think that the list of picks was going to work out the way they thought it was going to work out. And then when it came time for them to draft, they're like, oh, fuck. We can't not draft Brock Bowers now. That guy literally should have went probably like to, the Titans, or very easily could have went to the Jets, or, where
Yeah,
maybe he should have went, But
yeah. I mean, I speaking on
But
the
I
Jets
don't.
real quick
It didn't
too.
help. It doesn't help them. I mean, unless they're gonna run him in the slant, kind of like we saw with that
Well,
Kincaid in Buffalo. Um,
they're probably going to
that
run
would
the
be the only
two.
way they would coexist.
They're going to run the two tight end sets, and Minshew's going to hit those routes. That's the thing too. Is we're not playing this Aiden O'Connell game anymore. I don't think. I think
Probably not.
we've seen enough of him. I mean, Antonio Pierce is still the same guy, so tough because it's the same coach. But
Yeah.
Bowers is going to succeed, and this is where smart fantasy players do this too. They don't care about landing spot as much as they care about talent. And Bowers is the most talented player. And that's why I think in some of these drafts, and I'll keep you informed when I get more data because I have a couple drafts before ours, where Bowers goes.
Yeah.
And this is where the talent over landing spot argument is key. And not just a draft because either one you know a name, or where they where consensus or all these like analysts are telling you where to pick them, because that's not true, because talent will win every single time.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah,
Every
it
single
should
time.
in theory.
Most of the time. 60% of the time.
Yeah, maybe 70. But yeah, Bowers should be kind of matchup proof, whether it's this year or next. But
Yeah.
it'll be interesting with them. That moves
Brian
out. So
Thomas.
we'll move to the back end of it. Brian Thomas Jr. to Jacksonville. That's a perfect landing spot.
Great. Yeah.
He's a younger version of Calvin Ridley.
I wonder how I should approach that situation, having Trevor. Do I try to
That's
go
where I
get
was saying
where do
too.
I try to go get this guy? Maybe now, what you were trying to say over text. Well, maybe I can't say it now. Actually, it's a strategy.
That's
So
Well, we'll see if they. To be honest, I don't think anyone will listen from this league outside of John anyway. What's up, John?
yeah, it
And
would probably be behoove me to trade back a couple, maybe snag him,
yeah, if you
grab
could trade
another
back to the 7-8
7,
range, I
8,
think
9. Right, he's probably going to be in there.
he
And
should be.
then I got my pairing for sure.
Yeah, And I think it's going to take like maybe a year, but like you could expect 4 touchdowns out of him this year easily.
Well, it's Kirk and who?
Kirk, him, and then they got Gabe Davis from
So
Buffalo.
Gabe's on the other side then.
Yeah, at least to
Most
start.
likely. Well, they paid him like 3 for 30, I think, or 36.
Yeah.
So they're definitely gonna start him. So yeah, so maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, it's worth it because
It's a
like
good
that's
pick.
a nice thing about your
Good pick for
if we digressing into your team too is your team at wide receiver is solid enough where you could risk the biscuit with that one because none of those picks you're picking a running back in this draft.
I know it's sad. I need him.
And that's what like so that there's a difference too, and I think I mentioned this on the
Always need the
podcast.
running back.
Yeah, everyone load up on running backs because they all get hurt. Yeah, okay, you could do that in the 3rd and 4th round in this draft. But the biggest difference is there's just no Bijan, there's no Brees, there's no running back. Maybe if Brooks didn't tear his ACL, maybe we could. But
he's going.
There's none in this draft.
2nd round. Yeah.
Maybe late first, depending on if it's a 12-man and people are desperate. Usually that's a contender at that point, too.
I could certainly see a reach. So next is Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs. Oh my goodness, beautiful! Like
Best case scenario. I'm pretty sure I said that too. I don't know if I sent you the text. I would love to look back if I did or not, but I definitely mentioned that this is going to happen after he ran his 4.2 40 or whatever it was, where he broke the record.
4.22.
They love their speed. They went out and got Hollywood Brown.
Yeah,
they are going to be so fast, and the best part is Buffalo traded them that pick. I am speechless on that one. I don't even know who they traded him for. I think it was just later picks.
Oh.
And I think because Buffalo traded back again too. But they traded back to 32, and then they traded that pick to Carolina. But that being said, Xavier Worthy moves up into your top 5 for rookie drafts. He's fast. He's going to be in an elite offense.
Rashid Rice has fucked his life up. Maybe, probably not, but like
he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. But he created a distraction, and that changes shit.
Hey, it's fine because you have Hollywood Brown who's also had a driving ticket like that where he's been speeding, where he went he was going like 120.
I actually remember that. Yeah.
Jordan Addison did the same thing last year. Nothing happened.
Boys love their speed. Yeah.
Yeah. I did see something kind of funny. It was like, oh, you got Hollywood Brown running like a 4.2 something or 4.3. And then you have Xavier Worthy running his 4.2 that. And then you got Rashid Rice going 119 or 120 speed. I just had to laugh at that one. Oh, Marshawn Lloyd went to the Packers. Another USC Trojan.
We got there's a couple. We got Blake Corum to the Rams.
Yes.
Roman Wilson to the Steelers. I think
good blocking.
Troy's still out there.
He is. Nobody wants him. I told you.
Gosh, that poor man.
Marshawn Lloyd. That sucks for him because I expected a better landing spot.
Yeah.
Because AJ Dillon's still there too.
Oof. All right, so
I kind of like that we're doing this live. I like that we're doing this live too because it just makes it so much better because you get the squirrel moments. Well, Marshawn Lloyd doesn't get his stock drops even more. Undrafted free agent.
Yeah, like whatever promise there was for drafting wise is probably gone.
Yeah, you still got Jacobs. But back to circling back, Xavier Worthy is going to be awesome. He's not going to be your Sky Moore. He actually went against elite talent. He was an elite talent last year. Yeah. And then our boy Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. I watched a lot of Florida games this year.
Mm-hmm.
And his name was called almost exclusively.
Really?
I don't know if it's because Graham Mertz just threw him the ball like 30 times a game, but he could take hits across the middle. He made a lot of amazing catches, and he went to the San Francisco 49ers. This move honestly means that Ayuk or Deebo is gone, and it's not that he can play at that level.
But
yeah, because I think he's been the most vocal about it. And I think he just has more trade value.
I think he's a definitive one on a team. So
100%. I agree.
I think he needs his due diligence.
He does. He needs his flowers, as Dan and I like to say.
Nope. Yep.
But Pearsall, when that trade happens, Pearsall jumps up the board and he could be your 112.
Oof.
And that's
Sure.
saying something. He
Maybe.
could be that talented because he like all the testing, and testing really doesn't mean much because testing didn't do well for CJ Stroud. He was awesome, but all the testing, he's been off the charts. But moving on from Pearsall, Xavier Legette, right? I think
Yep.
that's how you say his name. Out of South Carolina, went to the Carolina Panthers. They traded up with the Bills. Not a lot to say on this guy. If you saw his interview this morning, he could barely talk.
Yeah.
Not in his comp from ESPN is Jonathan Mingo.
Fucking rude.
I thought so. I mean, it's
He
tough.
does
I
it.
thought he
He's
was a
got
little
a
bit
great
bigger.
voice, though. If you've never heard him talk, sounds like
Yeah,
fucking.
go look it up.
He's a good old boy from
Yeah,
random. He talks like Randy Moss.
he does talk like Randy Moss. Either way, I mean, that's a loaded wide receiver room, and when I mean loaded, it's just a lot of names. Adam Thielen's still there. They went and traded for Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Uh, I
So
this
two.
one's gonna have to go ahead.
I mean, looking at just like real quick, pick 33 and 34 wide receivers again. Keon Coleman and Lad McConkey. Keon Coleman going to Buffalo, Lad going to the Chargers.
Yep,
Man, I don't know why Keon Coleman. That was
I hate it.
Yeah, do you?
I think he's a terrible. I think he is literally Kelvin Benjamin.
Ah!
Let's go. Hold on. Let's see if I can get the clapping emoji on this one. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my
Everyone's going to have
god.
to bear
That's
with
why
us.
I'm terrified of it. I was like, it seems like Calvin Benjamin. I'm getting Calvin Benjamin vibes.
Like, we could see him easily gaining like 50 pounds over
Oh,
like
that's right. That poor
off
man
season.
gained so much weight that he tried out at tight end and he still got cut. Oh
Yeah,
god.
he reminds me of Cheeseburger Eddie Lacy.
Oof, that guy.
No, Keon Coleman. If you ever want to get nerdy with it, go look at his like reception perception profile. It's ugly. It's all in red. Like, there's not much that's good about him outside of those fades or like the in the goal line work. Just ugly. It's just an ugly pick. I mean, I don't care. It's not someone I'm gonna go. Ooh, if
Yeah.
someone's like, "Oh, you're gonna take Keelan Coleman?" Yeah, no, you can have him. Please take him away from me. Lad McConkey, on the other hand, really like that pick because
Well,
that
they
means
needed.
Herbert just got it his guy.
Yeah. Yeah, they needed that for sure because of Mike Williams' departure to the Jets.
Let's go. So his comp that I'm seeing here is Jordan Addison. I said it's more Doug
What?
Baldwin-ish. Yeah, he's more Doug Baldwin to me.
How tall is Lad here? Wait.
He's 6 foot, 186.
Oh, not as big as I thought. Okay.
Yeah, and he's the laziest comp that I used to see, and people have stopped saying it because they get roasted for it, is the lazy Cooper Cup one. And yes, Lad's footwork is great, and he can run a route like no other. We've seen it.
Yep.
He's not Cooper Cup. Nobody's Cooper Cup. The only one that we could say that's Cooper Cup is probably his countermate over there, is Puka Nakua.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
his
Honestly.
breakout and and if you ever watch their footwork, it's almost identical now. That being said, though, Lad going to the Chargers, elite, perfect landing spot. I love it.
Yep.
And then we talked about Polk already. Not a whole lot there. I get what the Patriots are trying to do, which is add weapons, but it's not going to happen with him.
No.
Our guy Kool-Aid McKinstry on defense went to the Saints. It's actually a perfect spot for him.
The Eagles got fucking both corners. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they got better, and it's sad because my Georgia Bulldogs that I have in my other IDP league, the full one, I did take like Sidney Brown and all those guys too. But yeah, Cooper, Dijon in the second round like that, steal. And then they grabbed the other cat out of Toledo, our Maxion.
Yep. Russell Westbrook just got ejected, in case you're wondering.
Are they up or are they down right now?
Oh, I don't know. We're gonna check. It was just a little notification.
Yeah, while you check, we'll keep it going. Jonathan Brooks, the Texas running back who sat behind Bijan and Roshan.
Ooh, Mavs won.
Mavs won. All right. That's what
One
I kind of predicted if you listened to the
one
pod last
90.
week.
Yeah,
Nice. Jonathan Brooks to the Carolina Panthers.
great, amazing for them. That was a great pick.
Yeah. So I was talking about this earlier too. Bryce Young kind of is sneaky this year. They built up that line. They gave him a ton of weapons. So this is, I mean, I don't know who their coach is off the top of my head, but they will look a lot better now where it's not like what it looked like last season where he had nobody to throw to, nobody to block for him. I felt bad.
Yeah.
But he's going to move up,
Dave
and Jonathan
Canales?
Brooks will. Who?
Dave Canales?
I have no idea who that is. Not even a
Yeah,
foggy.
that's who it
But yeah,
is.
Jonathan Brooks, he'll bounce. Like apparently, he's supposed to be ready by training camp. Um, I think some of the RB hogs in the fantasy leagues will start going after him. I think people are going to be disappointed this year by him because Chuba Hubbard is. We liked him years
Oh yeah.
ago.
Yep.
I think it's still his job to lose. But Jonathan Brooks will be that guy, I think, next season.
Yeah.
And then Mitchell went to the Colts out of Texas. 6'2", 205,
That's a
fast as hell.
great pick for them. Yeah, because they need that too.
I think it's a good one. Yeah, needed a
Him
compliment
and
with
Caleb
Michael
Downs.
Pittman.
Yeah.
Well, if
Josh,
as long as
Josh Downs. I mean,
I think Richardson just needs to make sure he like throws the ball and doesn't just try to do it all himself and get hurt again. As long
yeah.
as Mitchell shows up and shows that he's actually dedicated, go watch some of his tape. He gives up on plays.
Does he? Oof.
Like mid route, there was multiple occasions I watched his tape where he stopped in the end zone and just like gave up.
Not
Like
ideal.
and just stood there or like was walking. It's like, yeah, you're not. But his comp is George Pickens.
Okay, I like that. So
I
Jalen
like that
Wright's
one
still
too.
out there. Jalen's not been picked yet.
My Jets in the top of the third round traded up for the Western Kentucky Macaulay Corley. He's 5'11",
Okay.
207.
It's Malachi,
He's
buddy.
Malachi, whatever. The only Malachi I know left us at USC, so
That's fair. He did. Where did he go to? Nebraska?
Boise.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Fuck it. Go ahead, dude.
yeah. The good news about Corley is that he will be a wide receiver 4 on a team that needs a wide receiver. So he will get the ball from Aaron Rodgers as long as Rodgers is out there. But at least we have Tyrod to back him up next year if it's worse comes to worse. We'll have to come back to Corley and see where he actually ranks. But he's a vertical threat, which they need, so that'll help.
Yeah.
And then Trey Benson going to the Cardinals.
I think it's, they kind of needed that, though.
Oh, that's a great landing spot for
Because
him.
of the inevitable James Conner getting hurt.
Yeah, he'll get hurt, and I think he's only got like a year or two left on his contract, and that's like a perfect spot for him to take over, and it's going to be a fun offense. So they've actually kind of rebuilt that team pretty well.
Yeah, no
But
excuse.
I mean, he arguably could be the best running back out of this class too. And then let's see who else. I mean, we already touched on Blake Corum. He'll be a decent backup behind Kyron.
Yeah.
Change of
He
pace.
definitely has a chance to be a starter in the future, for sure.
I mean, he's already 24, so he doesn't have much time left either.
Meh. We'll see.
Yeah. Hoping for Kyron to keep that job for my own sake. But Roman Wilson, wide receiver, they need to replace Deontay.
Yeah,
He'll
Steelers.
do the job. Santana Moss-esque player.
Nice.
That's the comp. He's smaller, but he has the ability to come down with contested catches, good hand-eye coordination. Kind of what you want out of a wide receiver. So it's hard to measure him just because they didn't throw the ball a whole lot out of Michigan.
Yeah.
But Marshawn Lloyd, we already touched on him. He's undraftable now up until further notice. It sucks. But then Jalen McMillan from Washington just went to the Bucks. That one actually is kind of interesting. Even though Mike Evans signed a 2 or 3 year deal,
Yeah.
he could fit in pretty well in that offense as their 3. So, is there outside of Michael Penix, has there been any really surprises to off of the names that we've kind of ran through?
Well, not honestly, no. Like I feel like that Michael Penix thing really threw me off. Brock Bowers at 13, that was kind of weird. The second round definitely seems like now we're starting to take all these defensive players. I mean, 6 quarterbacks going in the first 12 picks is kind of, I think, shakes up everybody's idea of what the draft is going to be, because I don't know. I don't necessarily think Penix should have been in there. I don't know if Bo Nix should have been drafted that high, honestly.
Mm-mm.
So it was kind of like a quarterback grab in the first 12 picks. And now in the second round, I think all those corners just went down in a string, like 4 or 5 corners went in a row. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see 4 or 5 and 6, like the end of the draft shape up.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. I mean, there's still some really big name wide receivers that haven't been touched yet, so I'm kind of interested in that. As a
Yeah,
Jets fan, I'm really hoping they go out and get Jordan Travis and just let him sit and just soak in anything he can from Rodgers while he's
not a
still
bad
there.
idea. Yeah,
No, give him time to recover. Just sit and watch film and just kind of be like a fly on the wall with him. But I was actually, as boring as it is, I was happy that they got that lineman because, as you know, Tyron Smith has always missed games.
yep,
And they're old. Their line's old. They needed it for the future, regardless of how this year goes. So,
yep.
yeah, we'll see how the rest of the draft turns out. We'll probably touch on that again in a later pod and just see really what the fantasy outlook brings us. And we'll probably do a mock draft with it.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it and with respects to like dynasty. But then
Yeah,
also,
because
and during mini camps and all these good things, like injuries are gonna start happening too.
yeah,
And
yeah, we'll get these round 7 running backs that come out of nowhere too. So
you
we'll
gotta
see.
grab them, and you gotta grab them
Yep,
immediately.
yeah, and that's where you almost really want like a strategy that people I think will start catching on to is that you want to keep a third string running back like that on your team that has some
Yes.
talent
Yeah.
over a wide receiver that could be a 7 or 8 on your team.
Yep.
Like you're never going to play them. Like those are like the Deshaun Jacksons of the world where you played them 1 week, they got 3 touchdowns and 400 yards, and the rest of the year they don't even touch that. So yeah, it should be a fun year going forward with football. I'm itching already just because baseball sucks already for me.
Yeah, where you don't want to talk about baseball.
No, the last 4 podcasts have already gone down it. I
It's
think the
so
Sox actually did
so
win
bad.
tonight, though.
Did they? Thank God.
Yeah,
No, not
4 and
thank God. It
23.
doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter. No, I don't care.
It's
Anyway,
a bad display of management, but I digress.
yep. Yeah, believe me, we'll save that for another pod. We'll break that down even further. But thanks for hopping on. Any closing words before we head out?
I ate a 200 milligram edible before I did this.
Very nice. I felt it kick in for you. Anyway, all right, buddy.
All right. Good night, buddy.
Send it out.